This is. No, there's really supposedly going to be something every month, like a grand opening ceremony kind of thing in January. Want something. But right now we're trying to establish subcommittees.
Okay, you're ready to go.
Okay, the South Road Tricentennial Committee now in session. It's Thursday, February 13th, and it's 6:33 p.m. First item on the agenda is to welcome Michelle Landis from the Southbrook Gardeners. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
I'm Don Morris.
I got it.
And do you know the rest of the people on the?
Don't know these two.
I'm Jim Hardy.
Jim.
Grew up here.
Okay. Michelle Wilkinson. Okay. Patricia's back here now.
Do you know Patty?
I don't think so. She looks familiar, but hello.
Yeah, we do. I do your yoga class.
Okay, that's what it is. There you go.
Nice
I know.
backdrop, Patty.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Is that good?
And I'm Vanessa Hale, the Assistant Town Administrator.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Well, welcome. We've had guest speakers at almost every one of our meetings. And I think this is like our 15th or 16th meeting. So your last meeting we had Ryan Donovan from the library. So and we want to bring you in here so that you know what we're doing. And then hopefully we can huddle up with you guys and do things together for the 300th.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know. But we just had a meeting this morning, and I think that everybody is starting to talk about it, but again, they're sort of wondering like when the starting date for things are and like what the real thought process is about what will be happening. Because I know that the garden club would definitely like to participate in some of the things that are happening. I can probably speak to the fact that Pilgrim Church would also like to have a part in something, whether it be the parade or whatever it might be, but I know that they'll want to participate as well. Beyond that, I think the garden club would be the one that would most likely have multiple opportunities to help or
Participate.
augment or participate in some way. That we've had things before that we sponsored during special events or whatever it might be. So yeah, the more that we know, because again, our plate is pretty full during each year. We have programs that are every month, and there will be one big thing. I mean, two that we talked about a little bit that would be possible things that could happen here. But already, like we have a house tour tentatively on here. We've done garden tours, like house and garden tours, and if something like that were to be added to it, where some would be house tours and then maybe there'd be a few gardens, added to it. I think that you'd have several gardeners that would, like to add or offer their gardens to that. I think there would be a donation from both groups for a brick. I can't say that you're going to get multiple bricks from the garden club. The idea of getting 10 or so out from them. Today was a very small meeting too, because understandably people are away, some go south, so January, February, sometimes the beginning of March, can be a fluctuating attendance for that. But yeah, having the multiple people donating to get like a discount or something like that, I don't think is probably going to happen, but there definitely would be a brick from the group. And the same thing, I think the church would bring, something to that as well. Beyond that, we've got other things that we've done in the past. We had a flower show that on our 50th anniversary was at the community house that highlighted areas, buildings in town that we then interpreted in flowers and so on. There could be something that we would maybe do in conjunction with the houses that are on your house tour, where we would offer to do containers or do outdoor, things that would help augment that display of whatever might be there. As far as the Oktoberfest, we've done like we're sponsoring a scarecrow competition in the past. And could do a variation on things like that. But yeah, we would love to, see if we could combine brains and decide where we could fit in public places. I think that the church would primarily be something that would be in the parade, depending again on what you've got going. We've done a chicken barbecue every June. That we've reestablished, let's put it that way. It was something the church did for a long time. And then like everything else, COVID pretty much shut doing anything like that down. Nobody reestablished it before. It has just started. I think this will be our 4th year of doing it, but we typically will try to do it in June in the back of the church, and we try to make it a community event, but it's a very small scale thing. So again, if there was something that could go along with that, again, you've got a lot of things in June right now that are sort of happening. It'd be good to know what those dates are, because if our barbecue sits on a Saturday that's the same as something else, that could be good, or could be detrimental. Who knows? And all of that.
Saying all the right things.
Heritage Day, we always are part of that, and the church is always part of all of that. So if
Michelle, could I
Yes.
throw in a question? So you know how the Museum of Fine Arts and the Worcester Museum do like art in bloom?
Yeah.
And you said that you've done flower shows. Is there any way that we could do something like history in bloom? And I'm not sure where that would take place, maybe at the library. And instead of interpreting like artwork, you're interpreting something like a photo from Old Southborough or a piece of memorabilia from, the dairy or something.
Mhm. That's definitely, I mean, I personally participate in both the Flora in Winter and the Art in Bloom, and know what you're talking about with those. We did, and we're actually doing an Art in Bloom at the library this April as one of our meetings. We've started that with Trotter Art Department in conjunction with the kids' art. We also have done a books in Bloom before with the library. That was outside actually, because that was during COVID. So we did it along the stone wall and had the display going there. So anything, things like that. Like I said, for our 50th anniversary 2 years ago, we did do Southborough as a focus. We took photographs of different areas in Southborough, different buildings and so on, and interpreted those in flowers at the community house. So a variation on that theme, or something that could be.
But maybe featuring like some of the historic buildings or buildings that are no longer with us, but that were integral to the early days of Southborough. And not to add to your, schedule load, but, in place of something like kind of supersize what you're doing and focus it on history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as long as we know, and like I'm already planning next year's programming. So we've got a full slate of people and what we're doing for next year. If you want to have the next year coming in with some ideas like that, that's why we're talking now, because those would actually be incorporated then in what our year's schedule would be. Because most of these things, again, they're pretty labor intensive, and they can be very expensive in a lot of ways. I mean, the cost of flowers right now, if you just do it, how it's like to order something from the florist. You're doing something that's exceptional and a little bit more, it can be hundreds of dollars. So, yeah, it's a good thing to plan. And we would be happy to do it. Or maybe there'd be just a couple members of the garden club that would like to, focus on that. We have some people in the garden club. I mean, I exhibit quite regularly, but we have two other people within the garden club that, and one is an author, exhibitor, floral designer. And Julie has done extensive work with that. So I think that there are people that could be creative with some of those things and work with you. So it's a good thought, but that's why we would need to know that next year early on so that we could start booking things in and planning it.
What about, you've seen it in some of these other towns where they'll have like, they'll plant bulbs. And then when they come up in the spring or whatever time of the year, it's in the form of 3, 0, 0. Is that the type of thing that you guys can do?
We could, I don't know where you wanted to go.
Which DPW and,
Yeah,
but,
Well,
town
Heritage
common,
Park, maybe.
town common,
yeah.
that type of thing, or
Yeah.
something more permanent, like, let's say, boxwoods.
Yeah, I again, working in conjunction, we maintain the library gardens, the plantings in the triangle, things that are in Main Street and so on. And we sell bulbs at Heritage Day. That's our shtick, and we've just started planting a daffodil garden along the stone wall, the cemetery over by the library. So augmenting something like that is great. But bulbs are permanent. So once you have it there, something that hopefully you probably have to, I would say you'd have to see how large it would be, template it, and it could be a lot of bulbs.
Yeah.
So there's gonna have to be some help.
Or maybe
You'd
just
have to
something.
change the date every year.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's a pretty permanent, especially I would suggest something like that be almost like a raised bed that could then be taken away and the bulbs could be used somewhere else in town and replanted to establish, a nice display somewhere.
Maybe the center of Heritage Park.
Sure.
You
Could do
know,
a raised bed
But
there.
yeah,
is that something that you would do with permission from, the DPW or the select board? Or is that something that would have to hire a landscape company?
again, if DPW people were ready to prepare the bed of whatever kind you were gonna be doing. And we can have help in purchasing all those bulbs, because that's gonna have to happen too. And we can do them wholesale. I mean, we have the capability of getting a large number of bulbs, But yeah, again, it's something that, where is it gonna be? I would suggest something that could be changed out and taken away at some point. It'd be nice if it were, something like that is better if it were actually, tilted, if it were elevated in some way and tilted so that it's at an angle and people can see it visually better rather than walking up to it, because you never see it right that way either very well. But there are multiple ways to do that. I mean, there are a lot of plantings. It's a combination of things too, where you can do woodland type things, moss type things. You've got that native bed over there that's been done. There's a lot of things that you can do in conjunction with some of that to make it fit into that area elevated, and have things like ferns and woodland type things in the 300 and not just bulbs that are going to show up once and within a certain window of time. You might want something that's going to last
Flowers.
last
I don't know what
throughout,
they are. I know that-
Crocuses.
Oh, is that what they are?
yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, you have to time, your show. I mean, the depending on what you're gonna plant in there, it would only come up at a certain point and be done pretty early.
Yeah.
So yeah, the effectiveness of it might be very short-lived,
Right.
for all the work that you're gonna go into to get it done. But it could be something that could be really effective in with that pollinator garden and so on. Some ideas with that. There are always people in the garden, but they're willing to help do some things like that if we have the support and, with both maintaining it and getting it established. Because we do not have the manpower to go in and create something like that. We can help, plant it and get it put together. Yeah, we have enough trouble getting water to the triangle during the summer.
Yes.
We've hauled our hoses across that highway a couple times and trying to keep that thing going. Because we don't have a water truck in town to help do those things. Yeah. Okay.
Fire truck.
Well, we talked. I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
actually, we stopped and said,
Yeah.
what do you, like, when you empty your hoses down, so like, is there any
Oh,
way
yeah.
you did? And
No.
one of them sort of said, oh, maybe, and then the other one sort of said, nah, you know,
No.
that's not gonna work. Yeah, I get it, but they have the fire hydrant down there, they do open it up. We have a special connection with like a hose at this long. I've now purchased 150 foot of hose that will go across the street. So we can drag it across, water the thing, drag it back over, but it gets shut down like, you know, in October. Because of frost, you know, and things, so, you know, and we're hauling buckets until the things are dead and ready to go to winter. So yes, we could do something, but we need a lot of help.
How many people are in the garden?
And gardening right now is about, yeah, this committee this evening, about 36 members. But of those 36, at least 12 to 15 of them are, like, I'm 71. A lot of them are past that, you know, and they are not gonna be, you know, hauling dirt and shoveling and stuff like that. So out of those 36, about half of them are capable of doing something like the project you're talking about, or we would all be chipping in to do things like the garden tour or whatever. In fact, the garden tour would be at some of their homes and their gardens, which are gorgeous. Other things, you know, we would simply have some people that certainly would be helping with planting containers or things like that in front of things for the house. Garden tour, house tour.
Could also maybe work with you on a fundraiser. Maybe your year is already booked up for next year, but
It is right now. I don't know if something could fit in. I mean, I'm president next year. So I've got the things booking and going for next year.
oh, so you're not the president.
Not right now,
Got it.
not right now. As of June, I'll be sort of like, you know, officially on the books. Yeah. Yeah. But there are a lot of good things and we certainly could be participating in or helping. With it. I'm thinking like the youth group, and I don't know what the Voices from the Graveyard thing is, you know, what your thoughts are with that. But, you know, Pilgrim Church and the youth group, I think if you know, contact with the different churches, see what the youth are, you know, doing and what they could help with.
How about like
Yes.
Boy Scouts or something?
Yeah, Boy Scouts. I mean, we've got an early education program with a couple of the Girl Scout troops that we've started to establish. They're helping plant the bulbs over along the, you know, wall and things for us. But yeah, so little groups
Just an
like that.
idea, just an idea.
It is, you just have to reach out and see what's there, but there is a small youth group at Pilgrim Church. I don't know exactly what's in all the other ones, but I know they exist.
So what sort of ages of those?
There's a senior high and a junior high one, so it would be, I think, yeah, I don't know how many are graduating this year. Like I said, there's really a very small group. I think it would be maybe 6 or 7 of the senior high are around, and then you have about the same amount in with junior high. And they're leaders. But yeah. But I would think St. Anne's, I think, has a youth they establish. Yeah, I think, you know, that could be something too. I mean, to get some help. Yeah, you know, working with those groups. Yes, you know. It's great.
Anybody, any questions or comments, before we take it back to Michelle?
Thank you so much for coming and for
Oh, yeah.
your willingness to
And your
participate
ideas.
in
Yeah.
ideas.
No, we definitely, I mean, I'm more than happy to keep like, if something comes up and I can email you, you know, about things or people in the club, you know, as we discuss stuff, as we continue through there. You know, our plant sale is in May. If things keep going, I mean, it's a great place to put some literature out, you know, because we have a lot of people from out of town that come, you know, to do the plants. It's in the morning and they, you know, go through, you know, look at things like that. That would be the other thing is if you do have a schedule or a brochure of any kind for me to, you know, to start putting out for the garden club and for the church in general, you know, I mean, there's just a lot of people in town that they sort of know it's there floating around someplace, but there's nothing that's really in front of them. So when you were at Heritage Day, I know that was probably the first time that you were sort of out.
Those are kickoff.
Yeah, out with everybody. But anything that you're handing out then or things about, the bricks and so on, it would be great to get that moving through some of the other conduits if you have more of that.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
at some point, we're still assigning our names to different events or different groups.
Oh, yeah.
At some point, one of our subcommittee people will be reaching out and attaching themselves to you.
Yeah, no problem. I know. Again, and there may be other people in Garden Club that would be interested if they have more information or rather than know what they're going to be raising their hand to participate in, that might want to go ahead and say, yeah, I mean, that committee sounds really interesting. We have a lot of people who are, and now I'm going to lose the name of the condo group that's across from the gas station up on the hill up there. Not
Carriage Hill?
Carriage Hill. Carriage Hill. There are a lot of members that are up in Carriage Hill, and that's quite an active social group, up there. So again, getting information out and doing things there, I think would be really, really good.
Flyer, the clubhouse there, and over at Big Green Hills.
Yeah.
Madison Place.
Yeah. I think all of those things. Yeah, Madison Place would be a large number of people. And I don't know if they have regular group meetings. I don't even know what they would call some of these things, but you just whether they have things like that with one of you then ends up being able to be on their agenda or their association meetings and things and be able to sort of talk to them about that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. You're welcome to stay. We're
Absolutely,
gonna move on to the other items on the agenda.
I know. No, I've got a bunch of granddaughters and a husband that are waiting. Saying,
Thank you so
just trying to say, when are you gonna be back? I know. But no, this is great. And I do think if you get the written literature out, it's one thing, but it's easy to pass by a poster. It's easy to pass by something and just say, oh, that's interesting. And then it goes into whatever the brain is thinking of next. But if someone actually shows up and talks about it, people are more inclined to remember what's happening.
We just have to figure out exactly what's happening and then we
I
can communicate it.
know, but you're making there's progress, right?
We are.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you.
Take
And
care.
good luck. Thanks for
Thank you,
doing
Michelle.
this. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting on January 15th. We'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the meetings minutes.
Second. Also, maybe second, any discussion? You got my comments, right? Okay, everybody cool? Motion's been made and seconded. No more discussion. All in favor, Morris, aye.
Martin's eye.
Aye.
Michelle,
Jim.
aye.
Aye.
Burns Fury, I'm gonna abstain because I didn't even read them. Sorry.
Okay, next item on the agenda
Get your background.
is the status of the subcommittees. You take them in order, I guess. Barbecue, community barbecue. That was Ginny and Sandy. Right?
What?
Those are the names I got associated with the community barbecue. Sandy's not here, so that means Ginny. And if you got nothing to,
So what I will offer is that I put something on Facebook and Instagram last night about we need party planners to help us plan the party. And to be honest, I have not been on social media today, so I haven't checked to see if there are more. But I got somebody interested in any event, somebody interested in the house tour, somebody interested in the historical events, somebody owns an event company, happy to assist with anything. And somebody interested in the family picnic and music festival. And then somebody said, what is it?
Sure. Okay, any questions, comments on that?
On Tricentennial Facebook page and Instagram page, and then with the ability for people to share it to their own accounts.
So question, I didn't even know, I mean, I asked Patty, how, where is this social media? So I kind of also agree with Michelle that we need to have flyers out, that we need to post them at the senior center. I need to post them at the library. We need to post them at the post office. So I think that we need to do more than just the social media for us older folks.
Oh, I agree.
Flyers. Flyers for the purpose of what, recruiting volunteers?
Yeah, volunteers, information, you know, ideas.
Okay, we're gonna kind of circle back to that when we get down to other matters, I think. So nothing else on that, we'll move on to the drone show, we got Andrew. And we saw that, Vanessa, you said that, Travis.
Right.
Did you see
Yeah,
that,
so-
Andrew?
Did I see
Yeah.
what Travis sent?
Yeah,
It
Yeah,
started with it, yes.
Yeah, because I asked him to put it together, but so I can just report a little bit about the investigation into the cost of the drone show, and then I actually just want to think about how this kind of fits all into the kind of big picture here. So um I reached out to Travis to see if he could Travis being the recreation director, if he could get some information on us about, kind of how much this costs. And so he got one piece of information from a big company, and I think it was useful in that it gave you some basic pricing information, right? The key variable is how many drones you do, right? And I think what they were suggesting is for like what we would be looking to do as Southborough, you would do a show of 100 drones, 200 drones, or 300 drones, and then the cost of that would be like at the low point $17,000 and at the higher point $51,000. Now Travis's email mentioned as a point of comparison for the fireworks for the Southborough Summer Nights, that's $7,000. So the drone show is a significantly more expensive endeavor, and I know I I think that I'm not necessarily like we're not. I don't think we made a commitment. We are going to do this. I think I'm just getting some information about the cost of it. I thought it was very helpful. Patty, I think you put together this grid showing like roughly where different events might go, right? I thought
Yeah.
that was very helpful for me because for a long time we've been in kind of this brainstorming phase, just talking about
Yes.
possibilities and ideas. And I think it's time to really to
Yes.
be more productive, to think about how much money are we thinking about, what realistically, how much money would we be looking to spend, and how much do each of these things cost. Now, fortunately, a lot of these things are great and they don't cost a lot of money. Like house tour, golf tournament, I assume people would contribute and pay for it, right? Um, so I mentioned this because the drone show, that's a significant thing. I don't want to go and start investigating all this information about a drone show if we don't think that it's something that's worth doing, and without thinking through what other things we really want to do. So I think that, I mean, I have some thoughts on kind of a broader discussion about how this goes together. Just a couple other thoughts about the drone show is I thought it was very useful where Patty kind of put it together like, what time would we have it? It definitely, I mean, I think you could do it kind of any time of year, but it would be, I envision it as something, it's kind of a more modern version of fireworks, right? It's significantly more expensive. it has this kind of cool factor where maybe more people would attend because I haven't been to a drone show before. You might want to see it. Some other things to think about, like if they look at examples of things they've done a lot for like kind of companies or sports teams or things like that, where or movies companies where the thing, like what exactly is the programming, the designs that fly up in the sky, what are they going to be, you know? That's something you'd really think through. And I mean, this company is one that would offer to help put together ideas like that. I don't know whether that's included in the base price, but
I think the storyboarding was, Andrew.
okay, all right. So anyway, I thought that, you know, it was good to put it as a placeholder in August. My concern on that has always been that, you know, Southborough Summer Nights is a very successful, popular event. And this would probably kind of compete with that. I don't know if you could do two events of that same magnitude. Like I'm thinking that's something I look forward to in the calendar every year is the Southborough Summer Nights last weekend of August. How likely are we to get people to get a big turnout for, you know, the drone show if it's 2 or 3 weeks before? So, I
Well,
mean, one thought that I
I always
had,
thought,
and I'm
I
sorry,
thought
I'm
we
just
were gonna, I thought we were talking about supersizing that Southborough Summer Nights and
okay,
working with rec to make it
okay,
bigger. And whereas they normally do fireworks, maybe that year, you know,
okay.
with
See,
our help, it's a drone show.
so I think
I could be wrong. I thought that's what we
no,
were
no, I
talking
thought that
about.
was I always thought that was the case.
okay, all right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that, but that does make more sense to me. Okay. Um like I also think, for example, we have the parade in June and then the incorporation celebration in July. Does it make sense to just do that in one day where it's one kind of super day? You know, I looked and the 6th of July is like a Tuesday. The preceding weekend is the July 4th weekend. Would it make more sense to have a parade like on a weekend day? And anyway, I won't go on and on. I just think that it makes sense to maybe, in addition to having this rough calendar, maybe a spreadsheet of where, like, what are the real rough costs of this, and what are the 2 or 3 events that you really have to think carefully about because they cost a lot of money, and what are the other things they're just they're easier to organize, they're not as much of a financial commitment, and we should have a mix of, you know, maybe not more than 1 or 2 things that are a really heavy financial commitment. Like right now we don't have close to enough money. Well, I guess we have the 25,000 from the town meeting appropriation, but I wouldn't want to start using that just on a drone show. Like um you got to think through, you know, what are our priorities here? So I don't know, just wanted to have that be a, like the whole issue about whether to do a drone show versus fireworks gets into like what do we really want to do? What do we want to focus on?
Andrew, have you talked to any of these drone show people?
Pardon
Drone
me?
show people? Have you talked, my ultimate question is, how far in advance, if we were to call and schedule a drone show and hire a drone company, how much in advance are they booking these things?
I don't know, but
That, I think that's, you know, with any of these things that we have to do or want to do, we'd be looking into how far in advance do we need to somewhat commit, or at least get a hold of a company and say, can you put us on your calendar? That type of thing. And if they say, you know, we only need a few months' notice, then we got time to move it around or move other things around. But if they say they need 2 years' notice, that's a different you know, pressure point. So
I think
that might be something we could ask you to do, is poke around and see what maybe Travis knows, maybe
But
just call.
I think before doing a lot of the logistical investigation, the main thing that we should decide as a group is what, if you have a rough sense of the ballpark of it, right? Is that, I mean, I think if we're gonna, that's a significant amount of money, right? And I don't know how you are, like, I looked at the mock-up of their 100 drone show, and frankly, it wasn't super impressive. All right. So then that makes you think, okay, now we got to do 200 or 300, and then it's $50,000. So before doing, talking to other people and thinking about what type of designs would fly up in the air, I think we should determine, do we want to go that route or just a fireworks route, right? And
We
that
have,
also depends, like, on a gala, it all kind of comes together. And maybe one way we could is if we planned out like the most basic rough, you know idea of how much these things might cost, and then there's so much variability, I know, of how much money we'll ultimately raise, but like we can't set a schedule of events that is gonna involve more money than we think we realistically can raise. You know what I mean? I mean, I did see from this you could do sponsorships from that. So you could recruit a couple sponsors to, during the show, the logo of your organization or company would show up, and then they would contribute to defray some of the cost.
Andrew, if you remember from that survey, we got pushback on fireworks.
Okay. I mean, it just comes down to do we think that, is it worth spending, like, now I'm trying to do the math here, 6 or 7 times as much money to respond to the pushback, which, how many people was that?
No, it's not. It would not just be in response to the pushback. I mean, we came up with the idea to, possibly do a drone show because it is something special. I mean, this is once in 300 years celebration. It's not that, Rec is going to then every year do a drone show.
Question about the pushback, Patty, was that because of the conflict with the recreation department?
Oh, no.
I think
No,
that was
it
just
was because of
Environmental.
animals.
Thank
It
you.
was because of animals and environmental issues.
I think even somebody got up at town meeting and said, if it's gonna be involved with fireworks, I don't wanna vote to give money. And so we were just trying to come up with something to supersize. And obviously, we're gonna try to get either a sponsor for the drone show or enough money to be able to budget for something like that. If we don't, but that was the goal, is to have some signature events, that parade being one, drone show being the other. And then a lot of the other events would be done, like I mentioned that Tanya Taylor has offered to do a townwide musical through her theater company. And I think they did it in Westboro, and they didn't charge people for it. It was, something, so we could complement the bigger things with events and celebrations that are not as costly.
Yeah. So the two bigger, most costly events that we're have in mind are really the gala and the drone show.
The parade and the drone show.
Oh, the parade and the
We
drone
haven't
show.
even voted, I thought, necessarily on a gala. Most towns do have them. But you can have all different levels of galas too.
Yeah. And that's something where you would presumably buy a ticket to it.
Yes.
So it's not.
Yeah, but we don't want it to be cost prohibitive for town members.
Yeah.
It can't be a $300 ticket and have food and live music and whatever, because we won't have people show up. But if the ticket was so $60 and subsidized, or, you know, maybe $40 for seniors or something like that, we might get more
Jenny,
involved.
I think you could, kind of do the same thing for that gala as we were thinking of doing for the sponsorships, that, you know, you kind of get a, you know, for the people that cost is not an issue, you know, they're paying the $150 a ticket or something, and it's the golden ticket, you know, and then you could buy just a regular ticket for $50.
So just thinking back on the drone show, the one thing that makes it a lot clearer now is that I had in mind is if the drone show is during Super Summer Nights, and then that particular year, it's kind of like a dual branded thing. You know, you're going to have people there anyway, and there'll be a tricentennial element to it. And that year there'll be a drone show instead of fireworks. So what I could then do is just ask, sounds like people do want to do the drone show instead of the fireworks here, and that it'll be right.
I mean, I think we wanted to do something different and special. I mean, there
I
are
think we-
laser shows too that we could consider. But I know that the drone had some customization opportunities for sponsors
Okay,
that we were kind of begging on.
so
I
then
think,
maybe
in my opinion, I'm not ready to give up on the idea. I'd like to know more
Okay.
information before ruling it out.
here's my thinking is that I could work with Travis, and let's say first off, this one company that we just have this one quote.
Yeah.
Now this company does say in their literature they do like 60% of the drone shows across the entire United States. I don't know where they come up with that, but okay, so I'll proceed to get some more information about, Don, to your point, how far out do you need to advance? And then I think where kind of the rubber will hit the road on this is if they say, yeah, we need to book X amount of time in advance, and we require I can't imagine you just pay at the end. I got to imagine there's some significant deposit that you pay, and then that's where it comes in, Ginny, maybe on the sponsor front of where if we wanted to get the money for the deposit, and then that's where there's two, or you could say to a significant potential sponsor, would you be willing to be the sponsor for this cool drone show we're going to have in 2027? And the whole town's going to be there because it's, going to be the Summer Nights celebration. And this is the seed money for it. Okay. Does that make sense? Maybe?
100%. Yep. That is definitely the plan.
So that's when it kicks in, is finding out kind of how much money to lock it in, right? And okay.
So the way we'll leave this tonight is Andrew's gonna do more research to help us make an informed decision.
And Andrew,
Okay.
I had done some research back when we first came up with the idea, and I think I emailed out some sample shows and companies,
Yeah.
and I'll look for that and get it over to you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
And Ginny, you mentioned the laser show. And I think in our earlier meetings, we had drone/laser. Are they same companies do the same stuff, or is it completely different?
No. I don't think so.
I don't either. I think it's separate, but if we found out that a laser show was much less expensive, then maybe we could head in that direction. So,
So maybe
do we want to ask somebody to research a laser show, or do we want to go down the path on the drone show a little bit longer before we make an idea about a laser show? Maybe we'll do both. But I just want to make sure that we know after tonight who's got the baton and who's working this, and that's you, Andy,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Right, guys? We all cool? And thank you for doing the research and working with Travis. Is it fun?
Look, I've really just so far all I've done is I sent him an email and asked him to get this information, and he jumped right on it. So thank you to him, and we'll just keep going. I just thought once I saw those figures, I needed to raise the issue about how much it costs, and so now I think having had the discussion and appreciate how it works, I'll keep going here, and yeah, and then I guess I'll wait and then tell the rest of, I don't know if there's another point. I definitely am starting to have some thoughts about how the whole kind of schedule can fit together, you know? And that, you know, where people are saying like, well, it'll be helpful if we could, you know, we need to publicize this. I think actually once we have a rough schedule, settling on that, that'll also is some new information that'll start to get people excited, right? You know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. We'll move on to the historic events, which is Michelle.
Yes. So, I actually have done a little bit of research about the voices from the graveyards, and it's actually quite popular event. I mean, Savannah has done this, and I found one that was recently done in Springfield, Massachusetts by the Preservation Society. I emailed them, but I am assuming that it's not a monitored email, so I haven't got the response from them. They actually have the movies, they have all of that, and I think that it's pretty easy to do. I mean, the problem is going to be, and I think the cost associated with this is not too great. Nothing like that is costumes. So I've actually been searching in Facebook Marketplace and found some, and they're actually quite affordable. And I found this woman who lives in northern Vermont, who was in Massachusetts, who used to do these kind of, I mean, she had a costume shop, and she has like colonial, she has all kinds of, you know, gentlemen's gear with vests and hats and accessories. And they were like $60 each.
Well, and
And
other person resource would be Tanya Taylor, as like 10,000 costumes.
okay, so the other thing is that it's kind of simple. Even if you put it on my South Grove free cycle, you know, people have these things in the closet from costumes. So I don't think it's
Colonial Day at school.
yeah, so I do feel that it's not gonna be very expensive event. And then Patty put me in touch with Sally Waters. So Sally is very excited about this, and she wants, you know, she actually sent me a list of people that she felt would be appropriate. And so I think that we have a really good start to this, and I'm hoping that the Preservation Society will get back to me with their things, but they actually have videos. So I don't know if you're still up on Saturday, Andrew. So this is my next step. So is to actually contact Algonquin, the drama club. Because I do feel that would be a great project, even though it's you know, it's a regional high school. I do feel that, you know, it would be good. And then Michelle actually gave us other ideas that maybe the youth groups might get involved too. So I feel that we have the resources, and, you know, pretty cheap resources compared to that drone show. And I do think that it would be really kind of fun. And the only one thing I have to do is I have to contact, because, you know, the rural cemetery and the OBG belongs to the town. However, the St. Mark's graveyard, and I feel that we have to include Joseph Burnett. He's buried there. So I feel that we have to get permission, and they're all walkable. So I think that it would be really a fun event. So I don't know who to contact at St. Mark's. So if anyone has.
I can put you in touch with someone over there.
Okay, great. So I feel that.
And that's such a sweet little cemetery that I think a lot of people really don't know it even exists.
No,
Yes,
they
You
don't.
know,
No.
So I think.
I really like
It's great.
I really like Michelle's idea when she told me about getting the drama club involved. I think that's just another way to get a younger generation involved and interested in the history of the town. And I just, I mean, Michelle knows, when she told me that on the phone, I was like, oh, that's fabulous. Really great idea. Yeah.
There's also a new drama club in Southborough. They put on, what did they do this year? Legally Blonde or something at Trottier? It's a new one, and I know the person
Oh, I don't know.
who is, yeah, so I could.
So there's a lot of potential. I do, yeah, I think
So fun.
it would be really a lot of fun. And if you saw online, I mean, Savannah did it. So when we went down to Savannah 2 weeks ago, I went to the graveyard and I just thought, this is really something to bring the history part. I mean, and not just to have like the colonial, but I do think that there are people in the rural cemetery that would be interesting as well. I mean, Charlie Chan.
What Holland? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's actually the first Civil War soldier is buried there for some reason because he wasn't allowed, he was Irish. So he couldn't, so there's a lot of good stories. And Sally is a plethora. I mean, she has sent me so much.
Isn't she great?
information.
Yeah,
So
she's
I
great.
think that-
Yeah.
I mean, her issue initially was that she didn't have the time commitment, but she has the knowledge, which is what we need. That's anyway, that's what I have for that.
It's exciting, and did I send you the name of somebody who wants to do this?
Yes, yeah. There's actually, I think that there was somebody else on the volunteer list too, that spreadsheet that you made, Patty, the one
Yeah.
I sent.
Yes, thank
That
you.
was also interested in historic.
I don't have that here with me.
All set then, Michelle?
Yeah.
Excellent. And the way we're gonna leave this is you're gonna keep working it.
I'm gonna keep working it. Vanessa's gonna give me the contact from the St. Mark's graveyard and
Do you have any help? Do you have a staff?
not yet, but I really feel that it'd be easy to get people involved in it. I'm not worried now that we have this little timeline that and the volunteer list that we can get this going and moving and shaking.
Okay. I want to get to that volunteer list before we leave tonight. So the next would be the house tour. That's Patty and Kate Battles. Does Kate
Yeah,
know that
so
she's on
I-
this?
I was chatting with Kate this week. And unfortunately, her schedule is still in flux. But we're gonna suck her in, you know. I hope she's not watching. She's just a plethora of knowledge, and she's such a well-organized person. I mean, she has lots and lots of documentation. I have a lot of copies of this stuff from the original one in 2019, but Kate was really the driving force of that. So if we don't get her in to actually like chair it or something, she's gonna definitely be involved and then on an advisory level to keep it going straight and narrow. And we do have some people that have specifically volunteered to work on the house tour. So I have reached out to some. I will, reach out to others to maybe put some meeting or something together. Yeah. Because, we probably have to start talking about what houses and getting people's permission and choosing at least a month, if not a date.
But this house tour event is something that it's all relatively internal. We don't have to rely on other companies or vendors, or it's something that it's something
there's some cost involved. I mean, when we did this in 2019, we did a brochure, a booklet. Actually, it was like a 4-color booklet, and that was actually the tour ticket. So, people paid, I think it was $40 for the tour. It was a total sellout. And they got this tour booklet, which gave them the addresses of each house, history, photo of each house, and the map of town and stuff. And then we had advertisers in that booklet that helped to support it. So, and there were some other things that cost money, but I don't see it as being a drone show. No.
Right, as far as money, I'm also thinking on all of these, thinking of time, how long it takes to launch, to put it together, to launch the thing. And it from what I'm hearing, it's relatively easier than some of these other bigger events.
That the house tour, I think we need a full year, because you have to get the people to commit to their houses.
Okay, that's good to know. Anything else on the house tour?
How do you pick and choose the house?
You ask, you beg people,
You-
beg and beg and beg and beg and beg.
Go clean the house.
I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking.
Jim,
old
do you
house.
really think we have? Do you really think there's more people that volunteer than we need?
No, but I'm thinking. I mean, I'm thinking
Okay.
old. I'm thinking old houses. I mean,
Well, there's some really interesting houses.
just more newer house, well,
No,
not newer,
No,
but
there's some
Modern.
historical houses, there's some very contemporary houses,
oh, all right.
So a lot of
When
the
we
older
put it
homes.
when we put it together in 2019, the goal was to have as many historic or older houses as possible,
Yeah.
no matter what
Right.
the size of that house was. And, then when it was rounded out by a couple of newer houses that were unusual.
But I love the idea of combining a house and garden tour. Because that'll, pack it substantially with, different,
That's the question.
yeah, that I think that should be a combination. That way, if you don't get as many houses that you.
How many
Okay.
houses
I mean-
were on the last
Yeah,
one?
that's what
Do you
I'm
remember
saying.
how many were on the last one?
I think it was, I could look it up. I think if we include the chapel, it was 9. But I could look it up and send you a note on that. Because we did include the Burnett Chapel.
So
Ginny, what did you just say a second ago? Well, how did you start that?
about the garden tour, supplementing the
Oh,
house tour.
combining the garden tour, because then it limits the time frame when we're going to do it.
Right,
Because
I
people are
saw
only
that
going to
you
want
had
to
it.
show their gardens at certain times a year.
You're absolutely right, and people really are not around during the
So
vibrant summer months.
my question to that, if you had a combination one, I mean, that's gonna be a very lengthy day. When I was just partaking in the house tour, it was a lengthy time. So would you separate them and maybe do the house tour in April and the garden tour in June? Are you really think
Oh.
that you can get as many?
No, that's a good, I mean. You're right about the garden, like it does limit. You, I mean. Gardens usually pop in June, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, well, it depends on what's planted, but yeah. I don't know
Because I
that.
don't know how many people are gonna have gardens. Like she said that there are some people on, I just don't know how many people are gonna participate. So I don't know if it's gonna be
Yeah.
overstuffed.
So we can do either or, depending on.
Yeah.
Even if it
be
was
a
just
house or a
having
house
2
and garden.
gardens. Even if it was just to
What?
supplement it with 2 gardens,
Yeah,
that are,
it's feasible.
I'm just worried about getting enough houses.
So,
Well, for what it's worth, I mean, I one time went to one of these a long time ago and have an idea of what it kind of looks like, and it was cool. It was actually in the in Beacon Hill. So, just on a whim, I saw an advertisement for it, and you go inside some really nice houses you ordinarily you're not going to go in, and it was a garden tour because a lot of the people's gardens were like in not visible from the street. You need to walk through their house to get to the back, and so it mixed the house and the garden. It was pretty cool.
Mm.
I made sure I was didn't touch anything or like have dirty shoes or anything like that.
Yeah.
Felt a little self-conscious doing it, but
Don't pick the flowers.
I went to one years ago in Southborough that was in the 80s. And I remember going to the Beals house and they had it blocked off, just a couple of the rooms were on tour. And
Some had shoe coverings on it.
it was a holiday tour too. Yeah. Yeah, shoe covers are a must.
yeah, so I think the next
So-
step is probably to get together with the people that have expressed an interest and start, kind of feeling out some of the general, like these questions. Is it a house tour? Is it a garden tour? Who are we going to target to ask to be involved? Yeah.
So moving forward, you still have the baton on the house tours, Pat, right?
Yes.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to the parade. So Jim and I and three others, are waiting, are ready, to launch, the research and the work on the parade. What happened to Patty?
I don't know.
She's still
I'm
there,
here.
she just walked here.
Okay, so, when you come back, Patty, you and I talked, you're gonna give me the Westboro stuff, right?
Yeah. I was kind of busy the last couple of days before I left. I just couldn't get it together.
Yeah, so as soon as we get that, as soon as you get that to me, I'm gonna call a meeting. Jim, myself, and the three others, on the subcommittee and, start the whole parade process. So the next step for that is to get the Westboro stuff. And then resurrect some of the earlier, research that I did like over a year ago. So, hopefully, by our next meeting, we'll have a little bit more information on, how it gets put together and, cost and again, the time frame. I noticed, on the 12-month thing here, we have the parade in June. I think we had talked about, June or September. So I think that might be a pretty good idea, but we'll have to see how it goes as we do our research. If there's nothing else on the parade, I'll move on to, the updates on the brick and fundraising.
Patty, do you have any updates?
Not many updates on the brick. Kind of going back to what I had emailed you that I haven't done a lot of moving forward on the bulk brick fundraiser or e-blast because we are getting, thanks to Karen Englum, we are getting the grant from the Southborough Community Fund, and we just haven't seen that check. I checked in on it last week. It was supposed to be mailed out as of a day and a half ago. Kathy still had not received it. But that is going to be used to purchase the software that's really going to manage a lot of this stuff, our emails, our e-blasts, our donors, our sponsorships. And so I don't want to duplicate my efforts here of putting in more email lists and stuff to MailChimp and setting up a newsletter when I'm going to have to redo it all on Bloomerang. So I just did kind of pause that a little bit until we get that money in. But that wasn't the question you asked. What was the question?
No, that's good update. It's exciting that we're getting the software soon. And
Yeah. I think it should be
more promotions.
really quick. Yeah, I mean, it was last week. It was just a matter of probably, getting one person to write the check and mail it out and getting it to Kathy, get it in the bank, and then, we should be good to go to order it and get it on board for the first year, which would be great.
And fundraising had to be postponed due to illness and people's vacations.
Oh, yes.
So we'll have an update.
Oh,
Okay.
and you were asking about the bricks. So we have had a couple of more brick sales based on the website, which is great. Very easy when I just emailed telling me that there was a sale. So again, moving forward, we need to promote that a little bit more and get the sales ramped up for the spring. But things are there's still more the occasional coming in.
Right. It didn't sound like from Michelle that the gardeners were gonna be a group bulk sale.
Right. Yeah.
So I did give her the talking points and I gave her, but it sounds like there's a lot of older people on the. I thought it was a larger club actually.
So speaking of the bricks, I have just one comment, Patty. So I know that you spoke about having an event for Find Your Bricks. So
Yes.
when do you think that we should fit that in? But that would also
Well,
be encouraged.
I was going to put that on, Michelle, but we were actually talking about doing that in 2025. Because if we close off sales in approximately Memorial Day of 2025 and order the bricks, get them installed, we're actually talking about having that of Heritage Day of 2025, which is why it's not on the calendar.
Okay.
I mean, we can do this in 2 stages, maybe, and then postpone it and push that like Find Your Brick thing out into 2026 or maybe even 2027. But by that point, we want to have a lot of bricks installed.
That sounds aggressive to me. Not only to just sell the bricks and to have them, but to have them installed by this October.
The reason, one of the drivers for that was that people have shelled out the $300.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
they want to see what.
What I get for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why
And-
Patty
and-
mentioned phases maybe.
Yeah, do it in phases so that it might be a total of,
Yeah, I mean,
Great.
it's totally feasible to do it in phases and, maybe having a couple of, warm-ups of the Find Your Brick thing and then one big one in 2027 or something, to thank all of the donors. Totally open to it.
That makes sense.
move on to the select board report. I was in front of the select board on January 21st with that report that we went over at our last meeting. And a lot of smiles, a lot of support and compliments. So we definitely have the select board rooting for our success. And we'll be probably doing another report this summer.
Excellent. Thanks for doing that, Tom.
We got the promotion of Tricentennial newsletter.
I think that's gonna wait until the software because it
Yes, that's
doesn't make sense.
going to wait till the
now.
software. So I'm not doing it twice. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
And-
I think let's set a goal of March 1st or the beginning of March to get one out for the beginning of March and then to try to do it monthly. I mean, maybe say the first week of March.
Great goal.
Well, that's 2 weeks away.
I said the first week, John, not the first day.
So So you need everybody's write-up.
Yeah,
Prior to-
I mean, a little, yeah, whatever you are, I mean, Michelle already sent me one. It was great. But whatever you're kind of spearheading the committee on, just you know,
Short and sweet.
or
Short and
sentence blurb, just kind of to get people excited. I mean, the first one is going to be more about the status, definitely the brick bulk sales, pushing the brick sales, call to action for volunteers. And then the synopses of where all the committees are going.
Anything else on that? Good. Other matters properly before the committee. I saw a email where the ethics homework hasn't been done by, I think, 2 people on our committee. I went to look for it and I couldn't find anything.
I did. I was one of them. I didn't know that you didn't have to take the course. You just had to
Acknowledge.
acknowledge.
Yeah,
So I acknowledged.
but there was, I thought there was one other, or maybe it was Sandy.
Did
Yeah,
it give you a
it's-
printout, Ginny, to
Yeah.
get to the park?
Oh, no.
Oh, do I have to give it to somebody?
No, I didn't get a printout. I got a verification.
Yeah, but
Okay, if you got the verification, I think they're,
yeah,
I-
they,
because they
Reached
track it
out
on
to
there.
Amy and
yes,
it's all set.
Okay, great.
okay. So I think Sandy, I think I remember seeing her name was being open. So when she comes back, we'll talk to her. Was it last week, Vanessa? We had lunch at the spa with John LeBeau and what was the lady?
Nicole Torres.
Who are Shrewsbury's Tricentennial Committee chair and vice chair. And we sat there, we had lunch. And we sat and huddled with them for it was about an hour and a half. It's a good long talk. And it seems like they had some really good ideas and shared fun part of it and also the pain of trying. And they're like us. They're having a little bit of difficulty getting to populate these subcommittees and getting worker bees to do the work. But they seem to be pretty much on the same page as us, maybe a little bit behind.
I would say we're
Couple-
definitely further along and more organized than they are.
Yeah.
And what year is this?
It's the same year.
Oh.
It's 6 months apart. So I think their anniversary date might be in December of 2020.
Yeah. So it was an excellent meeting and we'll be in touch with them and them with us as we move through the process and hopefully there might be some benefits to sharing something, some type of event or vendor. But it was good. And hopefully we'll be huddling with them again soon. Any comments, ideas on our connection with Shrewsbury going forward?
No, it sounds like it was a good meeting, and I think what we do have is the data from Westboro. And they gave us a lot,
Yeah, right.
so. I
And we
think-
told them that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
they were
told them that
so
Westboro was a great
great
source.
resource, yeah.
So they may forget how we left it. Were we gonna share it with Shrewsbury? Or were they gonna go to Westboro?
I think we were gonna share it. After that meeting, I sent them, the spreadsheet where we had collected information about other communities and how they structured this and, what kind of money they raised. But I think with, when we make another contact with Westboro about the grade, I think they wanted to learn about that information too.
You just gotta.
They
beat
wanted,
them
I'm
to
sorry, Vanessa, they wanted to learn about what information?
The information that Westboro provided about how they structured their parade and, the advanced
Oh.
planning that went into
Oh,
it. Just
Shrewsbury wanted to learn about it. Okay.
Correct, yes.
So thanks to Vanessa for arranging that meeting. It was excellent. Um. So, Patty, this 12-month calendar is excellent. I actually started to put together something like this, but it was more linear. And so this and with some key dates, and I think Andrew, you mentioned one of them. It was the July 6th is a Tuesday. So that might be a challenge to do anything on that day. Or
Well, I don't
find
know that
something.
that has to be, I don't know that that event has to be a big event, but that is the actual day of the incorporation. So something needs to be acknowledged on that
Yeah.
day.
And that's something that we probably pretty easy to find how other towns did it. If their incorporation day was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and what they did in addition to all the other stuff. So just from what I did, which is primitive, and it was more of a spreadsheet type thing. Then can we get this and fill in things that we think should be, or maybe a good idea for those months? Do you guys like this format?
I love it.
It gives you an idea, yeah.
It's
think we-
wicked simple, so it's
It's
good.
visual.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think we need it for playing, like I'm thinking, okay. What month might be a good month for a musical show, and that would be an indoor month. You
So
know,
it could be one of the colder months because we really,
Exactly.
if we're trying to fill out the entire year, I mean, that, I'm a visual person. So that's why I did this, because
that's
now I
great.
can see we got nothing in the beginning of the year. I mean, that's kind of why I threw the gala in at the end. It's like a closing pièce de résistance in December, but it's really just a rough thing. We can move things around. Maybe the easiest way is just to send me an email. I mean, it is just a Microsoft Word file, so anybody can do it. It's a table in Microsoft Word. But Don, if you make a change and Michelle makes a change, you're not making the change on the same document. So I can either share it as a Google file, or you could just email me with your suggestions and I'll keep it updated.
I like that second part.
I
because
like the second.
That way you're the keeper of it, right? You're the keeper of it
That's
and coordinate it, and
Accuracy.
it's only a few words. Like, for example, in February, I have a skating party. I have a sledding party. that we
And
could do.
frankly, I think this is good to, these aren't necessarily our end all be alls, but it's trying to pinpoint when some of these things are going to be so that you're not plugging everything into July. But then as we narrow it down, we can further it out with Andrew's idea of including our costs, our estimated costs per event, so that you're getting really a big picture of it.
Yeah. So, okay, that's how we'll do it. If we have ideas, we'll beam you on your Southborough email.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Hey, Michelle. So you have,
Yeah,
John,
go
so
ahead.
you mentioned ice skating. So I have an idea for that. I don't know what are you gonna elaborate on that, or am I speaking out of turn?
Don't you ever speak that way. No, I think at our last meeting, we talked about, or maybe it was with somebody else. I talked to so many people about these ideas. They have like a mat that you put down that puts the refrigerant, pumps the refrigerant, and then you pour the water over it, and it turns it into ice, similar to what they do at Fenway Park.
Mhm.
That's one thing we could do. And then, of course, you could just do it au natural, and we have a couple places in town where we could either create the water body, or it's already there.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
suggest, my suggestion would be, instead of creating something, to try to get our resources at St. Mark's. So they have the skating rink there and they're on school break in March. So maybe we can rent it from them.
You're talking sledding party and you're talking skating party?
Or
I'm
maybe they
talking
could
both.
volunteer it. Maybe they
Oh.
could volunteer to host it.
And they do, Michelle, open it, most years during the Christmas break. In fact, Travis and I were talking about this just today, asking, well, are they doing that next week? And he said, no, he didn't think so, but I think with advanced planning, that, and that's another thing, you know, that wouldn't depend on the conditions or so forth. But they do have a history of opening it up to the community for certain periods.
It's usually over Christmas break.
Yeah, I wish
Yeah.
they do
Yeah,
it
I
on every
remember
school
that.
vacation though. I wish they do it on every school vacation.
Well, they're in session though.
Yeah,
So they have
yeah,
games on it.
Right.
So I just think,
No, I think that's,
I think this is a great working document to get ideas.
I did have one
Build it.
question about the calendar. Do you want, Patty, in any format, maybe it's separate from this, for us to be tracking other, you know, traditional events, community events like Travis and Ryan and I were talking earlier this week about, we don't have like a master community calendar in any way, but we know that there are regular
Santa
events.
Day.
Right.
The Easter egg hunt.
Exactly.
Yeah, that
you know.
probably would be helpful because we could also see if there's something that we can align to it and play off of and help publicize their event and make it bigger, like that Southborough Summer
Right.
Nights. Can you send me do you have the calendars for the year? Well,
I
no, you're
don't,
not
but
gonna
they're
be able to
gonna
know,
start
'cause
sort of
some of us-
collecting that information and funnel it to me so we can figure out how to convey that in the best format.
feel like
Well,
an
even
overly-
if we took their 2025 calendars and just didn't place the events, the bigger events on specific days, but placed them on a month,
Month,
uh,
Yeah.
you know, we don't need to know whether it's the 10th or the 15th, but just
Right.
in the month. And
Yeah.
then, you know, we could coordinate with that. So even just having that would be a help.
Okay, so
I
I'll
can
start
get
collecting
kinder
that.
I can get kinder groups for you.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, and I can
Jenny-
add that to this calendar. Yep.
And Jenny, you asked, you know, skating and sledding. Skating is horizontal. Sledding is more vertical. Now the sledding, I don't know, for years, when St. Mark's had golf course, you could go to the sixth hole. And there'd be dozens, scores of grown-ups and kids sledding on the sixth hole. Or you could tone it down a little bit and sled down the fifth.
I don't know. You know what, Don, I'm a little concerned of liability on an event like that.
It's an idea that, I mean, I saw kids sledding on the shallow hill at the Beals property the other day. So,
Absolutely. And if they go and do it without permission, I think it's different than organizing an event where they're doing it. I don't
Sponsor
know.
an event with, you're opening yourselves to some liability.
wouldn't you have the same thing for the skating?
There's different
No,
waivers
it's not
that
the
you can
same.
sign
Yeah.
with skating.
And Andrew, do you have any thought on that?
Not really. No.
Sledding?
Honestly,
As an
I'm super
organized
hungry.
event?
I want to go eat my dinner.
Yeah, I know. I have 3 more minutes.
Westboro has a sledding, I think it's every Sunday afternoon on their, I think it's the 8th hole. And Westboro, I think, owns the golf course.
Yeah.
Might be worth, you know, I'm not forcing it or trying to push it, but it's just something to be,
Yep, something.
to be done in the winter time.
Yeah,
So
if we have the snow.
Yeah.
That's natural.
So we got, our next meeting, the list of volunteers, who's managing that? Okay, there's the answer. Where is the
No,
list?
I'm raising my hand. I have it. Because most of the list is either in the database or it's to be put in the database from the transfer station signups. Or
So We're waiting.
You know, I also was gonna add in all of, because I have the whole list of emails of people that purchase bricks. So that was another segment of email to add in, but that again is gonna be part of the boomerang because we need to track that they donated the money. So,
So if I wanted to look at the list of volunteers or the lists of volunteers tomorrow, would I?
I think
do you want to come here and get it?
I actually think that I sent it. I sent it out before the meeting, the ones that I had that actually had
Those are
it from
just the
Patty's
email.
spreadsheet.
Were those, was that an Excel file, Michelle, or were those just the emails?
No, that was the
What's that?
volunteer list that you created after the transfer station. And then you also had them from the survey. So there was several, it was the survey and the transfer, but nothing since then. So we'd have to add Ginny's view to that, Michelle Landis to that. So we'd have to add on to that.
And I
You
have the
sent
names
it
of
out
the
in
parade
December.
people. So.
John,
we
why don't you
need-
start by sending me the contacts that you have? And if anybody else has new contacts, send them to me. And I will try to update this list within the next 10 days, let's say, and then we can share it.
Thank you, Patty. I'll get it to you.
Sounds like a plan.
And that'll be in the form of a Excel
Yes.
spreadsheet.
Because I'm kind of hoping that in that time that we're going to have this software and, you know, so that's going to be a matter of compiling this info into, you know, updating the database in order to import it into the software. So,
So you're gonna need help with that. I mean, that's a big job to import all those emails into.
do I hear a volunteer hand going up, Michelle?
Yes.
On me.
I mean, I think that's gonna be very tedious.
Maybe doing like helping me with like you did with the other thing on the bricks for the year-end letters of, you know, helping organize it and proof it. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, because that list, to those of us who have trying to manage a subcommittee, that's a gold mine.
And it's,
And for us to reach out to some of those people, some of them are event specific, but I think Ginny, you mentioned somebody tonight that said they're volunteer, you know, to be on whatever.
Well, I mentioned something to Patty earlier about, do we want a volunteer coordinator to help us? Like,
I think we have to be a little further along, frankly, Jenny, than where we are. You know, I mean, maybe I'm only talking a couple of months, but yeah, I think we have to have a little bit more organization of, you know, because right now there's names here, there's names here, there's names here, you know, like I said, from the database, from the brick sales, those, you know, are one report. And then we have the sales that went through Venmo and PayPal. That's another report. Now, most of that stuff I put together for Kathy so that she could do the year-end donation letters, but I haven't then taken those and put that information into the database.
okay,
So I don't think we're quite there.
So I'll move on to the next thing then, which is the next meeting date, which we just picked as, was it the third Wednesday?
It was just for discussion, yes.
Oh, did we pick it? Who picked it?
We didn't pick it. It's just on the,
Oh,
it's proposed. No, it's the third Wednesday in March, so. Check your calendars. Pick another day if you want.
what is this,
Our next meeting,
what date, you're-
the 19th.
19?
I can do it?
Yeah, I'm good. Oh, wait. I don't think I am good. Oh no, my other commitment ends on the 5th. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, if something comes up, we can try to change it if we have to, like
Does that work
any
for
month.
you, Michelle?
It does. So I have, we're not. I still have some other things that I wanted to bring up.
So might we have that consolidated list of volunteers by March 19th?
Yes. Yeah, I
Excellent.
mean, I said it's a process that needs to all get put together in order to set up this new software. So, you know, that is kind of a priority once we have the money in hand, is to get that going because it's going to be very helpful. And combining all these names and creating this database or adding to this database and refining it to put into the software is a step to get that done. So yes.
Go ahead, Michelle.
So just one other thing before we convene is, when I was at the transfer station and I forgot all about this, somebody from the Rotary Club came up to me and his name, I don't remember, but I could probably look at I don't think of a website. But anyway, he said, please remember that the Rotary Club is here and we would like to work with the committee. So I don't know if we can contact somebody from the
Yeah.
Rotary Club to be a guest speaker, because.
Ryan Donovan also is very active with the Rotary Club, and he mentioned that to me just recently.
Okay, so they
So
actually.
that might be a great guest.
A resource.
Or March, if you'd like, or if you had someone else in mind to come in. Your
It'd be a
guest
great
speaker in March.
collaboration, I think.
The Rotary Club
Yeah,
would be the guest speaker. Everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
Did we lose Andrew?
I think we did. Unless you have someone else in mind that you'd like to schedule for March.
Well, if you do, just let me know or let Vanessa know.
But yeah, why don't we hold on that?
But we gotta decide, probably no later than the week before March 19th, should be like the 12th. So that we can coordinate with the person
Mhm.
and get agenda submitted to the town clerk. Anything else, Michelle?
No, that was, if I forgot.
Patty. Where
Yep.
are you?
I'm somewhere where it's 80. I don't think it's 80 at the moment. Let me tell you, I just want to make you jealous, okay? Because I heard you guys got snow today.
Why I'm not looking at the screen.
Oh, look, can you see? Is there a sunset?
Sunset.
Oh, current temperature is 73.
Freezing. Oh. Will you come back?
I don't know.
No.
I am back late on Saturday.
Safe trip, enjoy.
Thank you.
Is there
I-
something else?
Some more stuff.
Is there,
I don't know, was she gonna say something?
go ahead.
Do you want to tell us what she was?
We're gonna
Mexico.
entertain a motion to adjourn if, you know.
Okay.
Motion
she
to
said-
adjourn.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded by Michelle.
Yeah.
Any discussion? No, we're meeting tonight. All in favor? Morris, aye.
Martin's eye. Wilkinson, eye.
Burns Fury, aye.
Joe, yeah.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thanks.